Hi everyone, thanks for joining today's webinar about how to maximise your end of year fundraising with NationBuilder. So I'm going to start us off with a brief introduction to myself. So I work on the business development team in Europe at NationBuilder. So my role is really based around supporting new organisations such as non-profits and campaign groups getting familiar with the digital tools that we offer at NationBuilder and how these can all be used towards their fundraising or supporter engagement and beyond. So my own background is in software, but I've always had a deep passion for campaigning and fundraising and non-profit work. And I've got a lot of experience kind of fundraising on a personal level for charities through various different means like challenge events, bucket collections, and through monthly giving. So that experience on the donor side has just kind of really helped me to see what works in terms of communications and donor engagement and what doesn't. So I've had some emails before in the past asking me for a donation as if I've never donated before. It's kind of like the charity has no kind of record of any supporter histories. And so when I started working at NationBuilder, I was really interested in kind of focusing a lot of my energy into how our digital tools can actually be geared towards massively improving the donor experience for the end benefit of the donors and the charities themselves. So that leads me on to today's agenda. We're going to be talking about how to maximise your end of year giving on Giving Tuesday of all days. And this is going to focus on three main strategies. So first, integrating your donor and broader supporter engagement into your fundraising strategies and outreach. Second, by empowering supporters through peer-to-peer fundraising. And lastly, by making it fun. This is going to focus on how you can enhance engagement through gamification with the use of leaderboards and points. Following this, we'll go into a brief introduction to NationBuilder's tools, and then I'll give a brief demo of what strategy one looks like in practice within the platform.
Perfect. So before we dive into these, I'm just going to give you a brief overview of why. So why I've picked these methods as the way to maximize your end of year giving, the way to make the most money, before we hit 2025. So all the strategies that I'm going to discuss are based on a deep analysis of the strategies and ways in which our customers utilize our tools. So it's worth mentioning here that these customers have included really small local nonprofits all the way up to national and global organizations that are using NationBuilder. So everything I'll share is super transferable, no matter how many donors you have or how much you're actually fundraising. So NationBuilder customers that are using our tools and implementing these strategies have seen 7.5 times higher average donation amounts per supporter, and they've seen a 5.5 times increase in the total of their annual donations. So without further ado, let's just go into our first strategy for today. So this will be all about integrating your donor and broader supporter engagement into your fundraising. So a lot of organizations that come on board to NationBuilder do so because they don't have a united view of all of their supporters across the organization. So there isn't, one centralized source of truth. Using separate databases across the advocacy, volunteering or donor teams has meant that they weren't able to kind of draw on support across the board or use supporter histories that can inform their communications, recognize each unique relationship and make a better ask from that. So we know that how a supporter has engaged with you in the past goes way beyond how much they might have given, donated at any point in time. So without integrating donor and supporter engagement, we often see that there are lots of missed opportunities. So incomplete data means charities can't fully understand supporter behaviour or tailor their outreach, which could result in missed donations or engagement opportunities. Then we can have inconsistent messaging. So with disconnected systems, this can also cause kind of redundant or irrelevant communications that fail to kind of resonate with donors, or at least alienate them if you're kind of asking them to donate as if they've never donated before. And lastly, this can often lead to inefficient operations because staff can spend time reconciling that data from multiple systems, which reduces the time that they have to actually focus on those high impact fundraising activities. So simply putting your donor and supporter engagement into one platform, the charities that have been working with NationBuilder have been able to create personalised data-driven campaigns. So it's really focused on fostering stronger connections, boosting donor loyalty, and ultimately maximising those contributions, especially during these critical times on days like today, Giving Tuesday, or with matched giving initiatives, and in general, end of year giving and Christmas, when we find people are more often looking for ways to give back than other times of the year. So the direct outcomes of integrated donor and supporter engagement includes the ability to send really personalised emails, personalised calls to action in emails, based on supporters' previous interests or actions. So if a supporter has ever gotten involved in your charity's work based on a certain campaign or issue area, let's say climate, you should try and focus on this issue to speak to what they care about before you make your next ask, whether that's a first donation or something else, because we know it's all connected and people will just appreciate your recognition of who they are and what they care about within your mission. So let me know if anyone has any thoughts or questions on this in the chat. For this strategy, we will be going into a short demonstration within NationBuilder shortly to speak to how this can be applied within our platform. Our second strategy is about empowering supporters through peer-to-peer fundraising. So we've found that lots of charities will have a huge amount of untapped potential if they're not doing this. Your own supporters are often one of your most credible messengers for your cause, because they can draw on their own personal storytelling piece to amplify your own to amplify your efforts. But kind of ensuring that their efforts are personalised, impactful, and seamlessly integrated within your broader strategy is the thing that can be quite tricky if you don't have the tools in place to do it effectively. So when looking for these advocates, it's really important to identify not just your top donors, but those who have maybe only donated once and maybe can't give much more than that. So on that, it's really important to recognise that your supporters' kind of passion for your cause goes way beyond what they are able to donate as individuals. We all know that people face various different financial restraints. So if we broaden the pool of potential fundraisers to those that have taken a multitude of actions, but maybe haven't donated the highest amount. So maybe they've signed petitions, they've pledged support, they've opened a lot of emails, they've clicked through a lot of emails, then we can really draw on the exponential growth opportunities of peer-to-peer fundraising. So each of your supporters has the ability to share their message onto their own families, friends, and broader communities across social media and so on. And you can really easily empower them to do this. So peer-to-peer fundraising, when amplified by the right tools, can really make it a seamless ask, and you can maximize your impact with minimal effort. And it will also enable you to frame your ask of people becoming fundraisers kind of differently across the board. So, for example, if you notice donor drop-off and cancelled direct debits, you can thank them for their total donation amount to date and make a different ask around their networks. We all know that, as I said, money is deeply personal, so asking for money should recognise that and be deeply personal in response. I know from my own experience that I have monthly donations to 3 charities, and I don't really have the capacity to give to any new charities on a regular basis, but there are still lots of other ways that I'm willing to show up for the other charities that I support. For example, there are other charities that I'm running a half marathon for. So through that's all based on peer-to-peer fundraising and drawing on my own network to donate to me from doing a challenge event. So by creating personal fundraising landing pages or simply providing your supporters with a social share link that is unique to that supporter, you're able to empower them to fundraise on your behalf and provide a different donation ask that could actually be more accessible to many more people. Because as I said, some people have given once and that might be all they can do, but they still have a huge potential to kind of grow and help you to actually achieve your fundraising targets. And unlike the use of kind of third-party crowdfunding sites, NationBuilder's personal fundraising pages are fully integrated within your website and database. So you're going to be able to kind of capture valuable supporter data that can then inform your communications with them. So you can thank them for the snowball effects of their word of mouth. And we all know that kind of in a digital world where at the moment in particular, I feel lots of people are kind of lacking trust, and there's a lot of noise from many campaigns, social issues, even the news. Peer-to-peer fundraising is really key to kind of cutting through all of the noise and just building authentic support. The kind of top line of this is that your top supporters, or, you know, as I said, kind of no matter what constitutes being a top supporter, whether it's just signing all of your petitions or showing up as a volunteer or even opening all of your emails and being really engaged, they are the greatest untapped fundraising resource. And we know this because NationBuilder customers that are using our peer-to-peer fundraising features have been able to raise 11% more money. And this will be in part owed to the fact that 84% of people trust friend referrals over other types of marketing. So our final strategy is one of my favorites. So this is all about the power of gamification to engage and motivate. And the reason this is kind of one of my favorites is just because it kind of adds a layer of fun to your engagement and helps to sustain supporter interest and motivation. So when you're faced with a host of different data points in your CRM, it can be really hard to kind of make sense of that data and how it can actually be used to answer questions about who your most engaged supporters actually are. And that links back to what I just mentioned in that last point about acknowledging that some of your most engaged supporters might not be your biggest or most regular donors. So by integrating gamification elements, like the attribution of points to actions and using things like leaderboards, this can really invigorate supporter interactions by just introducing really simple elements of competition and achievement. So we've seen some of our customers use the attribution of points when supporters reach certain levels. So they might send out charity swag like a mug if they reach 50 points, or they might invite people to particular award ceremonies, galas, or events that the charity runs if they then get 200 points, for example. So it's really flexible and customized based on each charity that kind of we're working with and what their own mission is and the kind of different actions that they identify as being meaningful to their goals. Even the term points can be flexible to you know suit something that is meaningful to your work. So we refer to it as social capital, but we've got customers using it that will call it points or community credits. It really depends. So these leaderboards can then be accessible on your website publicly or just to your supporters when they're kind of in a logged in supporter view, which would then link across to the creation of their own personalized fundraising pages. Or, as I said, whatever other actions you'd want to tie into that kind of point system to help them track their progress. So this approach not only fosters a sense of community and shared purpose, but it also just helps you to express gratitude. So whether it's sending your supporters and donors a mug, inviting them to exclusive events, or whether it's just being able to thank them on a more of a personal level, social capital is a really kind of incredible way to just build engagement and help you to maximize your fundraising efforts. So our customers that are using our social engagement and gamification tools have had some really incredible impact. They've been able to recruit 25 times more signups and have seen twice as many recruiters because people are just more kind of motivated by seeing this continuous stream of gratitude and their kind of immediate impact. In addition, our customers using at least one leaderboard on their site have seen 23% more donors and 40% more recruiters. So that's just adding in the layer of a leaderboard. And I've got one example that I can show you if anyone is interested in seeing that kind of with a live customer. So by creating just this kind of exciting and engaging digital experience for your supporters, this will really help you to ensure that you can count on people to take actions that will help you to reach your goals. Even at times when your organisation may only be able to interact with supporters virtually, this is a really good kind of piece to kind of drive momentum. So that is the last of our strategies that I'm going to go over in this piece of today's webinar. So a bit of an introduction to NationBuilder and how we can support with all of these strategies that we've just gone through. So of course, everything that we've kind of shared so far is it really ingrained within the digital tools that we provide and the features within NationBuilder's platform. So the platform is really designed to put all of your supporters at the center of your work. So I'm going to speak a little to what those tools are prior to a quick demo for you to get a bit of a visual of kind of what I've been talking about so far today. And it's kind of just worth calling out at this point that our platform is really powerful, and there are kind of a myriad of ways that the tools have been used, depending on specific goals and just the specific makeup of different organizations. And sadly, we don't have time to cover all of them today in the 45 minutes that we have. But if anyone has questions or ideas of what they'd be interested in achieving, do let me know, whether at the end of this or by email, and we can kind of speak to that in a bit more detail. So NationBuilder is really an integrated software platform that combines all of the tools that you need to lead a community, encourage them to take action, and to engage with them and achieve your goals. So we work with customers in over 100 countries, with nonprofits and charities of all sizes, helping them to achieve fundraising targets and to really focus on personalising their asks by using the features that come within our 5 core components in the platform. So along the bottom of the slide here, you should be able to see these core tools called out that I'm just going to run through now. So first and foremost, we have our dynamic CRM or people section. So this is where you hold all of your data and you can get to know your community, and managing it using lots of different features like filters, tags, paths, and creating lists. So here you would own all of your own data. We're not a data provider or vendor, so that's a really core product principle, but you can put everything into one place. So linked to that first strategy, you can have your volunteers, your donors, people that are signing your petitions and different advocacy actions all living in one space, but really dynamically separate them out as well. Next, we have our communication suite. So this piece is where you can go on to engage with people in your database directly via email and text. So you can draw on all of the supporter and donor information that you hold on them to personalize your communications with them, and be dynamic using a feature called Smart Fields. So you can kind of send an email to 1,000 people, but each supporter is going to have their own kind of actions and data show up uniquely for them. And to drive all of this action, a website is, of course, key. So our content management system, or CMS, or website builder, this is where there are multiple templates and native features designed to help you actually go on to mobilize your community to grow. So this includes the likes of native social share prompts, recruiter IDs, and personal fundraising pages. So you can really build your website to engage people and meet them where they're at. And that is all linked within the people database and the communication suite. Next up, we have our fundraising suite or finance section. So of course, really key to the theme of this demo today. So here you're able to, of course, accept and process donations on your website. You can take one-off payments or membership fees and sell tickets within the platform. So we have an integrated payment processor, meaning that you can gather much cleaner data, and it means that there are kind of no redirects to third parties when your supporters are donating online or buying tickets, as I said. So it's a much more improved user experience for them, but it will also help you with collecting data directly. So that again can be used to inform future communications. We're also really excited on this piece to announce the launch of direct debit processing in the UK. So this is coming out early next year to help our customers just meet their donors where they're at even more with their preferred payment methods. So our payment methods already include, monthly giving, one-time donations, as well as express mobile payment options. So that is already there, but yeah, direct debit is coming early next year, which is really exciting. Then you'll see next to that, we have our direct advocacy tools. So this is through a piece called Action Button. So this is a widget that can be embedded on your website or linked in emails. It includes the ability to contact MPs, custom targets. You can collect donations here, petitions, run sentiment polls, and much more. And the last piece on the right-hand side is you'll see called out volunteer and event management. So this is part of the database and website piece, but it felt worth calling out kind of in a separate vein. So within all of that, we're really just a platform designed to grow your community and move it to action, no matter what that community looks like. So whether it's donors, people signing petitions, volunteers, people, RSVPs to an event, or all the above. So to conclude today's webinar, the next piece that we're going to move on to is to kind of just show you that in action. So we'll go on to a short demo of what these strategies look like in practice within NationBuilder's platform. So what I'm going to do is move into a live NationBuilder example so I can just show you how the website and CMS integrates with all the other tools that I've introduced you to so far. And I will be mainly kind of speaking to that first strategy that we discussed, so integrating your supporter and donor engagement. So this is a really simple demo example of a site that I've built on one of our stock themes. So to give you a brief introduction of this charity, Play Matters is a non-profit organisation that is advocating for creating safe places for children to play, and it's really focused on families that are living in underserved park poor neighborhoods. So the idea is just to show you how the actions that would be taken on a front-facing site render on into the control panel. Sadly, as I said, I won't have time to demo all the strategies we discussed today, but it will be a little insight onto that first strategy we discussed, integrating donor and supporter engagement. So we're going to be engaging a supporter who has signed this petition that I've got up here, who has not yet donated to the organisation. So you can see here that this petition, we've got some introductory text on the left-hand side, and we've got a petition goal and how we're tracking against that, and the title here. And we can just see, how many people have signed so far. So this petition is really focused on policy change. Play Matters does a lot of work across various issues like climate and change, and so I'll speak to why that is important later. So they are looking to change local policy and see a joint use agreement implemented. So this would be an agreement made between the school district and the city for shared use of public facilities. So what we're going to do on this page, I'm going to just enter some dummy text here at the bottom. So I'm just going to sign as Sophie Cartwright. And we're just going to put in a dummy email. And we'll put in a phone number. There we go. And we're just going to say that we're happy to receive email updates, and we're going to add our signature to that petition. Perfect. So now that we've clicked submit, the first thing that's happened in the background is a profile has been created. So by submitting that data, I'll show you shortly what that looks like when it's been pushed over. So this social share prompt is a native feature to all NationBuilder web pages, and it's really important to the organic growth of your community. And it's just going to help you to rely on those committed supporters, as I mentioned on that kind of peer-to-peer fundraising piece, to spread the message onto their own network and really draw on their own personal storytelling. So this tool is really useful because you can essentially track who's brought in who. So if I just quickly in this example click on WhatsApp, it's going to link me out to WhatsApp if we've got that downloaded here. But what I want to show you is this recruiter ID. So this is a unique recruiter ID that will essentially enable you to track who signs up through Sophie's link, so that we can kind of thank her for the snowball effect of her of simply sharing it onto her own network. Perfect. Now, if I come back and just click off this social share prompt, you'll notice we've now been pushed onto this donate page. So this is where you can essentially daisy chain your website pages to put your audience on a supporter journey. You can design your site around all of the logical next steps and the engagement of your audience. So here we're just asking as a donation for that next step. Perfect. So what we're going to now do is move back into the control panel, and we're going to show you how this information, so Sophie's data has rendered over and she's been put on a journey of engagement. So I'm just going to pause my screen again, and we're just going to move over. Just bear with one moment. Okay, so we'll just move into the dashboard. There we go. Okay, perfect. So we're now in the control panel, and this is the first place that you land. This is known as the dashboard. So the control panel is essentially the other side that you see of NationBuilder. So we've got the front-facing website, and this is the control panel where we house all of those other digital tools that I introduced you to. So when we're in the dashboard, This place where you land, it will essentially help you to see all of the goals that you have as an organization, and you can just start to set your focus. So it will allow your leaders to provide visibility and align your team efforts. Align your team's efforts towards a common purpose. So in terms of integrating your donor and supporter engagement, you can see here that we're tracking across the entire organization. So we have some of our advocacy goals. Here we've got petition signatures, in addition to our fundraising goals here above. So this will just help to align your team towards that common purpose. And what I'm going to show you is how we can draw on those supporters and make a fundraising ask. Now, on the left-hand side, you'll notice in this side panel, we can see all the other digital tools that we went through in the presentation. So we don't have time to cover them all in today's webinar, but what I'm going to focus on is the people database and workflows here. So let's just jump into the people database. And we'll see how Sophie's data and the actions she took have rendered over. So the people database is, of course, where you hold all of your data. So as supporters interact with you on your website and take action, they will dynamically land here. So like I said, whether that is a donation, a petition signature, or otherwise, they've signed up as a volunteer, it all lives here. So at the top, we can see Sophie was the most recent person to interact with us on our website. So she's shown up at the top here. So let's just go into her profile. And you can see that my dummy data for the phone number was incorrect, so it's recognized that. So at the top here, we can see all of the data that we collected on Sophie. So we've got her dodgy phone number and her email address. Here we've got her unique recruiter ID, and this here is her point person. So this is the person that's going to be responsible for kind of getting in touch with Sophie and engaging with her from Play Matters side. You'll also notice at the top here, we've got 9 points. So this links back to what I mentioned about social capital. So as people take action, social capital can be attributed to them. So Sophie is new to the organisation. She's just signed a petition. So this is how many points she's received so far. So we don't have time to go into the gamification elements in detail, but I just thought I'd call that out, seeing as we can see that there. So I'm just going to scroll down. And this section that you'll see here is known as the activity stream. So this section is where all of the actions taken on the live site will render in live time. So this is really important because it's going to add that historical context across the board to individual profiles. So you can really get to know your supporters, stay on top of communications, and create, the rapport that's going to be important to actually building community. So this, of course, really heavily links to what we're talking about today in terms of that strategy around uniting your supporter and donor engagement so you can go on to meaningfully engage. So here you can see that Sophie signed that joint use petition. And as a result, she's automatically started something called a path, known as the joint use petition. So I'll go into a bit more detail as to what the concept of a path is. But you can see here, this is everything that's kind of taken place with Sophie so far. So she's been registered as a supporter, and Erin is her new point person. Now, if I scroll up, this next section is known as our dashboard. And this is where we can add extra pieces of information to a person's profile. So we can add a note to her profile. We could email her directly. We could log a contact. Maybe she RSVPs to an event. We could add that here. A pledge and a donation. So we can just add extra information to their profile. And once we submit that information, it will show up here, of course, in the activity stream. Now, if I scroll up, the next piece that I want to cover is that concept of a path. So this is a path here, and Sophie automatically was enrolled in this path from signing the petition online. So the name of this path is joint use petition to match that action that she'd taken. So a path is what we refer to as a ladder of engagement tool, and it really serves as a map of where a relationship currently stands between a supporter and your organisation. So it's really used as a step-by-step workflow for you to just complete a chain of actions. So you can really use it to define the reason that you're going to go ahead and engage with a supporter. Now, you can decide, of course, the purpose of a path and use these steps as the workflow for the team to follow. So as I mentioned, Erin is the point person for Sophie, so she's responsible for the goal of this path. So you can see that Sophie signed the petition and she's now been added to a welcome series that we'll go into in just a moment. But you can see the kind of goal of this path is to kind of push Sophie into being a potential donor. So the goal of this path is to kind of identify whether or not Sophie is going to be able to give in that way. And I'll show you what we're going to do to achieve that. The next thing that we're going to, that I just want to identify here are these yellow tags that you can see. So these yellow tags are automatically applied to profiles when someone takes action on the website and interacts with you online. They can also be applied manually. So a tag is really used to kind of establish commonalities amongst your database, amongst all of your supporters. So they're just one of the ways in which you can go on to segment the database. So you can really use tags, again, in a real kind of myriad of ways. You could identify what events people have attended, what their interests are, which actions they've taken on the website. So you can see here that Sophie has this petition tag because she signed the petition, and we've got the specific name of that petition. And she's also interested in policy change kind of as a broad theme within our organisation. So you could use tags to kind of identify the different branches or campaigns or themes that your kind of charity works across. So for example, if Sophie was also interested in the kind of climate work that we do at Play Matters, we could apply that tag to her profile. Same goes with if we identified Sophie as being interested in crime as a theme, we could apply that tag to her profile. So it was really useful for helping you to identify and kind of establish the different lines of communications that you're going to go on to use and send across to your supporters to engage them meaningfully and maximize the kind of potential for getting that donation ask in. So if I click on this policy change tag here, the database is being filtered and it's now repopulating with the tag I clicked on. So we can see everyone in my database that is interested in this specific area. So in my small demo database, we've got a total of 8 people that are kind of all particularly showing interest in policy change as a general kind of theme. So this is now a filter, and we can add a range of criteria here. So a filter is essentially a dynamic grouping of people that is going to match the criteria you've selected, and it's going to continue to update as more people match that criteria. So in this case, so far, that policy change tag. So the criteria that you can apply here is vast, based on people's geographies, their voting districts, their demographics, whether or not they've opened an email previously. You can really draw on a range of different things like activity, where they live, whether they've donated before, and so on. So for this example, I'm just going to move into a saved filter that I've created over here. And this saved filter literally means that you don't have to build out the criterion again and again. So you can just kind of return to this view really easily. So within this saved filter, what I'm going to show you is how we can use it to identify a specific segment of people to trigger specific communications. So I've added a few other elements to this filter in addition to that policy change tag. This saved filter can trigger different communications to a supporter who's interested in other things, like the work we're doing, for example, on climate issues. We wouldn't communicate with them in the same way, just because we don't want to send, redundant or irrelevant comms that maybe just fail to resonate as much with what they've literally told us they care about. So let's see, for this filter here, I've got everyone that has signed this specific petition, that joint use agreement, everyone that is interested in policy change, and everyone in my database that has not yet donated. Now, there's a lot more, as I mentioned, criteria here. You can kind of get a lot more granular and kind of be a lot more detailed and do Boolean searches. There's really kind of a lot of potential here. This is kind of a bit of a simple filter just to identify for this example. But what I'm going to show you is now if we click on the top right here on actions, we can enroll this saved filter into an automation. And we're going to select petition signatures to fundraising ask. So we can click enroll in automation. And they're essentially, now that's set up, as new people meet the criteria of this filter, they'll automatically be enrolled into those communications and we don't have to manage this again. So what we're now going to do is go into that workflow. So workflows is this piece over here. And workflows is essentially where you can build out different lines of communications. It could be a welcome series. You could build out newsletters here. And you can automate the enrollment from various different things, like when someone signs up on a specific page on your website, or as I've just shown you here. So I'm just going to move into this specific automation here I've already got opened up. So this workflow is specifically for that audience we identified. We're looking at people that have signed that petition, and we're going to make a fundraising ask to them. So this welcome series is really focusing on building trust and welcoming these new supporters into our community. So let's just go into this first email here. So within this email, we're now in our communication suite where we can use drag and drop functionality to essentially build out our email theme. This email is just simply thanking the supporter. You can really customize these emails and match your brand and website. This is quite a simple one that I've just built out, but you can see you can drag and drop different elements in as you see fit, depending on the kind of ask that you're making in the email. So for example, we might put in a button there with more of a call to action. But first of all here, we just want to thank them for signing that petition. So as I said, we're focused on building trust here. Then we've got a delay. So we're going to wait a week before we reach out to them again. After that time delay, our next ask is a bit softer. We're just prompting them to share the petition on to their own family and friends, sharing their recruiter link with them. Then we've got another time delay here. We're going to wait just 5 days. And it's not until our third email here and a fair amount of time that we're actually going to make a small financial contribution ask. So you might remember that we pushed them onto a donate page after they initially signed the petition on the website. So we're aware of that. We've already asked them to donate. And if they reach this save filter and they're enrolled in this criteria, they didn't donate. We know that. So we're aware of that, and we didn't want to ask them again for a donation right away. So we've had a couple of emails and a few weeks in between, and we've expanded the way the supporter can get involved. So from that, I just want to flag at the top of the automation here that we also have some unenrollment criteria. So we've limited enrollment to make sure that anyone that does donate in the meantime, maybe something else prompted them to donate, they will be removed from this flow. So they would go onto a new stream that thanks them and has a new line of communication. So we don't have to worry about someone continuing to receive these emails if they do donate in another way or from another source. So in this third email where we finally make that donation ask, just wanted to show you this. So we have a donation button in the middle. So we've got a much bolder kind of call to action here. And here we're asking for just the smallest donation to begin with. And we're telling them about the impact of this donation in relation to what they have told us they're interested in, which was direct legislative change or policy. So we're telling them that a small gift of £3 can help them advocate for vital policy changes and reach more decision makers in local councils and parliament. So let's just say that the email worked and they've decided to donate. So yay. I want to now show you kind of what the product can then do to increase your fundraising beyond that. And that is the last piece that I'll just go on to show you today. So let me just move over into another email to kind of demonstrate this. So let's say they donated that £3. So I think my example is a bit different here based on the data that's available in my supporter profile. So here, I want to show you how we can create really bespoke emails to each donor now that they have donated using smart fields. So smart fields will help you to reflect the donor's average donation amount back to them and maybe ask them to increase it programmatically. So within this email, again, so when we're in this view, this is kind of where we build out our email, and this is what it would look like when it reaches our supporters inbox. Again, these are completely customizable. I'm using one quite a simple email theme here, but you can build it out, make it match your website and your brand. It's really fun to kind of build out and test around with all of the different colors and customization pieces here. If I just click into this text piece here, you'll notice these gray boxes on the right-hand side. So using these I'll introduce their real kind of name. These are called smart fields. So the grey boxes are our smart fields, and what they're going to do is go in and grab the information that is available within individual profiles in your control panel. And we can go into a lot of depth with these smart fields and draw on a variety of different data points that might be associated to your database, like where they live, what they're interested in. Again, whether it was climate or policy change, and the actions they've taken on your website. So again, that's really speaking to why it's important to integrate your supporter and donor engagement into one platform, because you can draw on all of that and personalize your emails even further by having all of that data in your arsenal. So this is your way of just letting people know that you understand them, you see them, and you can then just send those targeted messages to specific segments, ensuring that your communication is relevant and resonates with those recipients. So if I just click in here to this text box and select add, we can choose smart field. And here is where we can kind of choose from a range of different options to customize this email. So for those donation pieces, we can drop in someone's total donation amount that they've ever donated, the amount they last donated, years to date, and so on, the amount they've fundraised through their network. And we can go really kind of beyond this as well with liquid logic. We don't have time to go into that much more today. But all of this customization, is really just central to our product, and it really expands across the board. So even with your website, we have themes that are built with the same kind of smart fields and liquid logic that would help you to kind of draw on whether or not someone's donated or not and how much they've donated. And then you could create a custom headline and subheading on your website to create a dynamic donor experience. So it could say, welcome back, thanks for your last donation of £3, versus someone who's never donated before, where it's going to kind of just have more of a general ask to them. So that kind of concludes everything that I wanted to run through today in our demo.
Thanks for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to our channel. And if you'd like to connect with the team, please feel free to reach out anytime using the link in the caption below. Thanks.